Don't be a simp. Reasons why men need to get on code. I am at the point where I don't care if I offend anyone or make people feel uncomfortable because that's not what this is about. So, get your sensibilities ready and keep an open mind as to why you might need to listen to some things you'd rather not hear. Trust me, it would be much better for your life if you did. For those of you already on code, I thank you and I feel bad for those who aren't. The Matrix has you. This will probably piss some of you off, but sorry to burst the bubble. The fact is, there are some things that women do that men don't understand, and it's not because they're stupid or crazy. It's because they're different. The reason why they do what they do may seem illogical and even idiotic to a man, but it makes perfect sense when you consider the differences between men and women. The difference between men and women is that men are logical beings while women are emotional. This may seem like a generalization, but it's actually very accurate when you consider the average man and woman. Men tend to think in straight lines while women tend to think in circles. The problem with some men is that they assume women are the same as them. They don't understand what makes women tick and assume that if they do something a certain way, it will work for both sexes. The fact is that what works for men doesn't always work for women. A woman needs to be handled differently than a man because she's not wired like him in many ways. Whether you're a man or woman, I know one thing for sure: nobody likes a simp. A simp is an effeminate male that thinks he can get by on being nice and telling people what they want to hear. He usually panders to the woman in hopes he will get sexual attention and validation from other women. A simp will never have the respect of a woman because he needs her. A simp thinks he can buy love and affection. A woman wants to be with a simp because she feels she's in control. I got a message from a dude the other day. He asked if we were even brothers anymore. He said I had evolved into a totally different person than who he knew back in the day. What he doesn't realize is that change is a part of life. Those who don't evolve and advance aren't only stuck in a specific place, but are also stuck in their ways. And those who are stuck in their ways remain stuck in struggles and hardships on whatever path they choose to walk. I do not wish to live as a simp. I reject the stigma that is being forced on me by the political agendas, the dominant society and entities. I reclaim my masculinity, and you should do the same. As a man, you must recognize that you being a simp is killing your game and slowly killing your ability to get the best women out there. From Dan Bilzerian, Joe Rogan, and 𝗤𝗏 Nasheed, these are just a handful of men who find it necessary to not just recognize their status as men but their beastly nature. And they have no problem expressing it in front of other men or women. They know their stuff and they don't mind telling you about it either. The majority of men in America aren't simps. The mere fact that you're on this page is proof that you and I are different. We're not a part of the typical herd of men who've been indoctrinated by the matriarchy known as American culture. We're men. We're not afraid to say what we feel, even if it offends people. We have a sense of humor about ourselves and we don't take life too seriously. We're not perfect and most of us are willing to admit it because we're humble enough to do so. The majority of men don't have any interest in being a simp. They're not looking for ways to be more feminine or submissive, but instead want to learn how to express their masculinity in the most powerful way possible. What men want is to be respected and admired by others, not because they have money or a fancy job, but because they're real men. They want people to look up to them as role models instead of being somebody who has no backbone and will do whatever someone else tells them just to get ahead in life. Men don't want people who are spineless and easily manipulated. They want people who stand up for themselves and won't back down from what they believe in, even if it means going against popular opinion. It's not a bad thing to be a man. It's not something you should feel ashamed about. Men are just as important as women and vice versa. Gender roles are a myth perpetuated by the matriarchy in order to keep men submissive and weak so that they can continue with their agenda of control over society. It's time for men to wake up, stop being afraid of being themselves, and start standing up for what they believe in instead of giving in to societal pressures. It's hard enough for us men to stand up to the feminized world we live in. We have very little support, and even less space to not be labeled a macho man that tries too hard, or a masculinized male that is just an asshole. As men, we must begin to find our voice and our support structure, because there are many of us out here trying to figure out how to navigate the manosphere without being disrespected by the women who claim they want change. I know we got love for the ladies, but at a certain point, it needs to be love at a distance where they can see that we do understand what they are going through, but we still have to be men and we will not tolerate bad behavior. It's time for the men to wake up and start being real men. Men need to get on code. They need to take back their women and their masculinity. I wanted to speak directly to the men in my world and let them know that it is the era of the man. If a man isn't going after his dreams, then he's not a man. I wanted to tell them that if they are waiting for others to do it for them, then don't hold your breath because it is never going to happen. It's time for men to step up and be real men. It's time for men to stop simping and pandering to women and finally get on code. You don't have to be a simp, you can peep game and get on code.